Welcome to Overcrest. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake.
And we have a stupendous episode. Stupendous episode for you guys.
It is a cool episode.
It's
you know what I like? People don't realize this, that we do the intro after we record the segment.
Sometimes.
A lot of times. So we know. This was cool.
I'm 100% sure this is cool.
Exactly.
I got a phone call last year, maybe even around this time, maybe a little earlier. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember. And it was basically, hey, do you want to go to Baja?
Right.
Like what would that look like?
Baja Peninsula.
What would that look like for you? And I went,
and who was
holy
this
shit.
person?
This is Mike. And he runs Slow Baja. And
That's right.
He's a Baja expert. He's been going forever.
Do you want to know more about Mike?
I do. Tell me more.
So Michael Emery is usually behind the wheel of his vintage Toyota Land Cruiser. He's an intrepid adventurer and has been exploring the Baja Peninsula for more than 30 years. He's actually a two-time finisher of the grueling 3,000-mile Baja XL Rally, and he even hosts his own podcast.
Anything XL is good, unless it's a T-shirt.
Right. That's a little too big then.
Yeah. But usually XL means bigger, and bigger is better.
Yeah. I'm not big, though.
I know, but I was. You made the joke yourself. I was going to let it go.
I saw the smirk.
Yeah.
And so did everyone else who's watching this on video.
Yeah.
Regardless, Michael Emery, he is an off-road racing awesome dude, and he has the Slow Baja podcast, Slow Baja website, and he also has.
As we find out, he's the sponsor of the Safari class.
Yep, of Nora Off-Road Racing in Baja,
which leads us to want to interview him because it sounds like an absolute.
As you can tell by the end of the episode, we 100% are going to be doing this.
We're how? Okay, how are we going?
What?
Before we discuss how we're going to do this,
yes.
Why don't you tell me about our good friends Petrol Box?
Yes, Petrol Box is a monthly service made specifically for the automotive enthusiast. That's you, because you like cool automotive gear. And each and every month, they have cool curated boxes full of stuff that gets delivered right to your doorstep.
It is. It's cool.
It's awesome. We've said it would make a great gift. If you didn't get for Christmas, you can get it for yourself, or perhaps there's a birthday or some other holiday coming up. It's awesome for that. Head over to my... What? What?
Birthday coming up.
Yeah, I know. You have a birthday in tomorrow.
In tomorrow? That is 6 hours and 46 minutes from now.
It's the 3rd,
birthday.
Right?
Yeah, it's my
tomorrow.
birthday.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better than Christmas.
Because it's 7 days later?
Because I'm actually here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Was that a dead Jesus joke?
It's kind of, yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, you can have faith, but really you're buying presents for other people because someone else was born. You can give me presents because I was born. I'm right here.
Okay, on that note.
We should have had this conversation 2 weeks ago because then I could have gotten presents. Now it's too late.
We did get a couple of presents.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's right. We did. We got a couple of from Brad. Yeah. He sent us some belt buckles. Pretty sweet.
Very cool.
But that was because of Jesus, not. I did get a.
That was because of.
He did send me a birthday card, which was absolutely fantastic. But the presents were because of Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Whose birth you're celebrating, be it Jesus or Chris Cluel. Petrol Box makes a great gift. MyPetrolBox.com. Check it out. Use code OVERCREST at checkout. That'll get you a discount. There's 2 different levels to choose from. You know all this. It's great. If you don't subscribe, why not?
Why not? What else have we got?
We have a merch on the Drivers Club website.
Yeah, it's overcrestproductions.com/Le Club des Pilotes, which is Drivers Club in French.
Is it? Did you look this up just to annoy me?
Yep, Le Club des Pilotes, or it's the Le Club des Chauffeurs.
Chauffeur?
The Chauffeur Club. The Drivers Club is driver chauffeurs.
Yeah, but I feel like that translation is like you're driving someone else around.
I know. Well, you could be. I mean,
I don't really think that's our vibe, though.
Well, we are. We're driving everybody else around in the Drivers Club, right?
We're chauffeurs.
We're the chauffeurs of adventure. Yes.
Good, sir.
So it's actually /Drivers Club.
Correct.
You can get merch there.
Yep. We're both, if you can watch the video, both wearing Overcrest merch today.
I love this one, moving fast and barely moving, which is
it's
the whole
state of mind.
The slow car fast mentality. Celebrate it right here. We got some decals and everything too. And we have new stuff coming up. pretty soon.
That's
Plus,
true.
if you join the Drivers Club, you get early access
That's right.
to all of our limited stuff because we only have stickers aren't limited, but like the shirt you're wearing, some of the sizes are gone.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
gone. And once they're gone forever.
I never got the gray one.
Are you serious?
I don't have one.
See, Jake doesn't. He's not a member of the Drivers Club.
I am. I paid for it myself.
Did you buy the shirt?
What?
Did you pay for the shirt?
Well,
did you go to the store and pay for the shirt?
No, I didn't.
So you're a
pay for the
deadbeat.
shirt.
You're a deadbeat. You wanted a free shirt just because you're a part of something.
Well, okay, first of all, I pay ourselves $5 a month just so I can have the outsider's view of the process and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually am a Drivers Club member.
So what you're saying is that you got the Drivers Club email that says, hey, this stuff is available.
Well,
if you'd
of
like to
course,
purchase.
because I sent it. You son of a... I'm just pissed off because you hold inventory and you were supposed to pull one of everything.
You know what?
Me.
You know who came over to my house the other day?
What?
Jeff.
And?
He drove up to the house and picked up a couple shirts, and we had a nice conversation, talked about cars. It was great.
Good for him. I did that 2 months ago when I got one of everything, and I go, hey, where's the gray one? You go, oh, I pulled that one for you a while ago. It's somewhere. I'll find it.
Okay, well, I'll look.
Do you remember this?
No.
I know you don't because you probably either didn't do it or it got sold to someone else. So enjoy your damn T-shirts because I didn't even get one.
The black ones are pretty much gone.
And it's the coolest one.
And they're gone forever. Forever. So anybody that's got one of the black stonewash driven to death shirts, that's it. You are a lucky man.
If you have a large and want to sell it back, let me know.
There's a resale market on this stuff now.
I don't know. I'm just pissed off about that.
Well, maybe there's one somewhere for you. I'm not sure.
There definitely isn't.
Overcrestproductions.com/Drivers Club. Support the show. Right here. This is an Americano coffee right here. This costs $5.
Uh-huh.
This was $5.
Yeah.
This is the same. You could have gotten one of these.
You realize how ironic this is, that just yesterday we had the rant about coffee.
Yes.
And you were of the side that I don't need coffee. I don't get the frou-frou stuff when I'm on an adventure.
That's like
blah,
saying
blah, blah.
just because you have sex, you can't question the morality of porn. Just because you have sex.
That's nothing like that.
Just because I'm having coffee doesn't mean I can't think that all the coffee stuff is stupid. Just because I actually have more clout to complain about it than I did before because I actually will every once in a while now drink coffee. So now I have more foundation for which to complain.
You're like basically the expert, and the expert says it's terrible.
I didn't say that. I didn't say coffee was terrible.
No.
I don't want to hash this argument again. We already had it.
Yes, we did.
And I already won.
No, definitely not. Did you read the comments?
I got a lot of personal DMs with people that are
probably.
probably.
I'm sure
they're probably.
You did. Oh yeah.
The people are probably scared to confront the addicts. Maybe they're just scared. They don't want to get into the fray. So they send me a message personally saying, "Hey, Chris, I agree with you. I would rather be on the road experiencing the beauty that is the earth."
Yeah.
Did you see the picture I posted?
I don't know.
Of the hipster guy?
Yeah.
Like, you're either hanging out with the guy's name's probably Toby.
You just said you didn't want to hash this out.
The guy's name is Toby, and on the bottom is me driving on an epic road. Yeah. So you can hang out with Toby.
Toby.
Toby the coffee guy, or you can hang out with me. What do you choose? A couple people were like, well, I'm definitely going to go with Jake now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Absolutely. Fine, go with Jake.
Yeah.
Be comfortable. Fine.
Great. That sounds amazing.
I don't want to hang out with you anyway.
Good.
All right. What do we got here? What's going on?
Michael Emery.
Michael Emery. Let's get right to it. Enjoy, guys.
Michael
Emery.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for coming to hang out with us, man.
Wow, nice to meet you guys. Jake, Chris, I'm touched and honored.
Oh, well,
we appreciate it.
We appreciate everybody that spends their hard-earned time to hang out with a couple of dipshits on a podcast. We appreciate it.
So we can get it. We can say dipshits right away. I want to know the parameters.
Yeah,
we can get that out of the way right away.
That's quite all right. And Michael, Chris and I are admittedly pretty naive when it comes to off-road racing of any kind. And I, of course, have heard of the famous Baja 1000, which I looked up, and apparently has been run since 1967. But that's only one of many races held down on the Mexican peninsula, right?
Yeah, it's the Big Daddy. It's the one. It's the one that looms in everybody's mind. The 1000 again started in 1967, and prior to that, guys were just taking trips and trying to figure out, like, can we get all the way down this 1,000-mile peninsula? And some Hollywood stuntmen, the Eakins brothers, did it, and then Bruce Myers figured out, like, hey, if I load up my Myers-Manx buggy with 1,000 gallons of fuel, or however many hundreds of gallons. He didn't stop for fuel, which was a big problem in those days. There was not easy fuel to find. So he drove his buggy in 1967, summer of 67, all the way to the southern peninsula, and then turned around to make a timed run on the route back north after he had sort of mapped everything and made this basically flying time, bomb full of fuel. He set the record, and that's when people said, "Hey, we need to have a proper race," and that was Halloween 1967.
So since you are talking history, I looked up just enough to be dangerous. So I'm going to ask you the questions. The Etkin brothers that you mentioned, I believe they were doing a promo for Honda, or they wanted to test bikes for Honda, right?
Exactly.
And you talked about fuel shortages. So I want you to tell me how they solved that problem.
I think they had fuel dropped by airplane.
Yeah,
what happened on that trip.
I read there was a Cessna that just followed them, and like every 80 miles it would land in the dirt, and they would just siphon it out of the wing and into the motorcycles. Which
makes perfect sense.
I'm wondering what type of, AV gas or avgas that was running in those bikes at that point.
Yeah. No, I mean, the problem was just trying to find fuel in that. It was the place was, I don't know, it was like 50 or 100 years behind the United States in infrastructure. So that's also what made it so exciting for guys to figure out a way to get from the top to the bottom.
So before we get into the race itself and the organization of it, tell us about Baja. Like, it must be.
Wait. Why do you love Baja?
Like, well, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Well, so my story, basically, I'm from the San Francisco area, grew up in the suburbs, and went to college in San Diego. So when you go to school in San Diego, Tijuana's next door. And when you're 18, Tijuana's where you can drink legally. So that's all it was. We just went there to drink and do stupid stuff. But literally, like I was thinking about it today, before school started, I didn't get a dorm. I was living in an apartment with another guy. In those days, you kind of furnished it with cast-offs from mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever. Kids going to college, we had grandpa's stinky old vinyl chair and other stuff. But like, you need a laundry basket, we didn't go to Target. We went to Tijuana, and you bought a laundry basket from a street vendor. And that also involved like tequila shots and other stuff. And so as we started going to spring break in Baja, I maybe it's like year 3, you've drank beer from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. 4 days in a row. It's like, again, I got to get out of here. I can't keep doing this. And one year we just decided we would start driving south instead of coming home north. And, I wasn't in some off-road rig like you see in Instagram. I was in a Toyota Corona with an automatic that a friend of the family had given us. And we rolled up a foam pad and put it over the back seat, had a couple of sleeping bags. And I think we had like $28 between 3 guys. And we thought, well, that's 3 more days of Baja exploration. And that was the first time I said, wow, this is cool. You get away from the population, you sleep on the beach. We were very hand to mouth. We were recycling bottles at the end to get the deposit back so we could get some gas money, but it was really eye-opening. And so after college,
were you intimidated at all at a younger age, or are you too stupid to understand?
No, we were way too stupid. I mean, just absolutely too stupid. There was no bravado. It was just stupid. But what you really realize quickly, I mean, way, way before the internet, this is middle 80s, is that you get there and you meet people, and people are nice. Like, you meet some guy and he's like, hey, you guys can bring your sleeping bags and sleep on my front porch. You guys, we're having a meal, join us. People were just nice. And that was the eye opener for us. And as you got away from the party towns that were in the northern part of Baja, Ensenada, Rosarito, San Felipe, and started getting into the less populated places. And it's like, whoa, this is cool. So fast forward out of college, working, what have you. I at one point thought, after I bought my BMW Perry Dakar new in 1992, I thought, well, I'm gonna race the Perry Dakar. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
So I got the shower curtain that had the whole globe on it, and then I read a book about some guy who tried to privateer the Perry Dakar, and I said, that's ridiculous. What am I thinking? I'm going to go to Baja instead. So that's the first off-road trip that I took on a motorcycle. And then again, that was, riding across dry lake beds and out in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles down a dirt road, places I had absolutely no business going. And luckily I survived. And for me, that just fed this desire then to like keep doing it in different ways, different vehicles.
What was it
however I
about
could.
the exploration that really did it for you? Was there something that happened early in your life that you rediscovered some exploration, or what was it about it that was so attractive that you had to keep going back?
I mean, it's just next door. It's in those days, it was probably 50% cheaper. So as college kids and post-college, it's just a cheap vacation. And it's camping on the beach, and there's nobody saying no to you unless you're a total idiot in a populated town, drunk as a skunk, which I have been many times. You're just, nobody's going to say, no, you can't do that here. No, you can't drive down this dirt road. No, you can't. I mean, whatever, you can do it. The answer is yes, just go. Don't ask for permission, just go.
Is it like that today? Like, if I'm just a guy and I want to go to Baja and sleep on the beach, if like from an American's perspective now, I look at it and go, I don't want to go to Mexico because I'm going to get chopped into little tiny pieces and put in a box and dropped in the ocean with a brick. That's what I feel like Mexico is now. So what is the difference between the feel of Mexico now versus the feel of Mexico when you started going there?
Well, and is Baja different than
right? Yeah,
Mexico?
Is it different?
I think that like any place, if your source of news is one thing, you might only get one opinion. So I just moved to Chicago. You don't hear anything good about Chicago. I just moved from San Francisco.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything good about San Francisco. And thankfully, you don't hear very much good unless you're tuning in regularly to the Slow Baja podcast. You don't hear anything good about Mexico. So the thing is, people are nice. The weather's great. It's desolation on our doorstep. So literally, you can drive down a dirt road and camp on the beach. Now, many of the best beaches will have a family that sort of looks after that beach, whether it's theirs or not. I don't know the rules, but they'll, come and tap on your window, or you may have to drive past a little, rope that they've tied between two palms and pay a small fee to sleep at their beach.
Sure.
But they may also pick up the trash and have a primitive bathroom and a little taco stand. So, I Overlander and a bunch of other places now will tell you how to boondock camp. I don't do a lot of camping. I prefer after a day in the Land Cruiser, my old 71 FJ40, I prefer like a bed and a shower if I can get it. But I do camp, and I'll camp half the time on the Baja XL. And it's just, it's for me, I don't feel any desire to drive out into the woods in the United States and go camp. It doesn't cross my mind. But yeah, I love doing it there.
It seems like it's like this, like I'll camp too, but I don't necessarily go camping. If I'm on a road trip and I need to go camping, and I did when we were in Idaho and we were looking around for routes for the Overcrest Rally, we were like, wow, we're on a forest road. It is 4 hours back to wherever. It is 8:30 p.m. Let's just stop here. And we had our camping stuff. So we were in the mountains in not a camping spot on the side of a dirt road because we just had to go camping. We needed to sleep. So, and I love that type of camping. I love the spontaneity of discovering the spot and doing those things. The question for me is, when I look at Baja, I've kind of exhausted my own personal exploration of the West. Been all over Utah. I've been all over Arizona, Nevada, Idaho. I've driven there. I've driven my 911 on some pretty gnarly shit. Can I take the next step and take my 911 through to the southern tip of Baja, and would I like it? Is the question. Like, can I plan a trip that's similar to what I do in terms, you kind of follow me, so you kind of know where I go and what I like to do. Would I enjoy that? Would that be good for me in my car versus something else?
Yeah, I mean, people actually drive Safari 911s on dirt in Baja. So I just had Sharif from Oregon in his Rothman's livery Dakar replica. You saw it at Luft and a bunch of other places. Porsche just did a film with him, but he drove it twice on my Slow Baja Safari class on the dirt, hammered down, airborne, breaking wheels, doing stuff like that. Now he's going to prep that thing or build a new 911 and actually race it in the racing class, not come with me in the tour class. He's going to race it in the racing class. But you could get all the pavement driving you desire in Baja, which is fairly narrow, one lane in each direction, no, often missing the Armico barricades in the part where you can go over the cliff. That's, somebody's gone over the cliff. They haven't rebuilt that. It's just missing. There's a painted white line. The road is 96% of the size it should be. So it's just like driving a narrow 2-lane road.
You say the road.
I was just going to comment.
Yeah, the highway.
The road.
Is there only one, the road?
Yeah. Well, they've built a second one recently, but yeah, there's one highway, Highway 1, which was completed in 1974, and it was built on a budget. And there's, it's just over the years, again, it's not divided. So there's a painted line in between. And so you just have close contact with traffic moving the other direction. And there's a lot of truck traffic, big rig traffic. And, it's beautiful, but it's full concentration driving. And when you have an old truck like mine with 4 inches of dead in the center, as an old Land Cruiser, it's maximum concentration all the time. And when you do get tired, or when your concentration lapses for a second, that's when you hit a pothole. That's when, or even when, if you say, God, I got to go to the bathroom, and you're just going to pull off because there's no gas station there with a nice restroom. So you just pull off on the side of the road someplace. You better really look at where you're pulling off, because the drop could be 8 inches. So if you drop off the road without slowing down, you could flip. So it's not without its challenges, for sure. You could take a 911 and have a great time, is the short answer to the question.
You just planted a very dangerous seed.
Yeah, well, it's something that I've wanted to do, and it's far more likely that I'll do it in the Trooper. We'll get into that at some point here. Is there gravel roads that are somewhere in between? Most of the gravel roads I've been on are like forest roads. And my experiences in my 911 is you do not need a Safari 911 for 99% of gravel roads in the United States. I mean, if you're trying to go over like some pass and it's pretty gnarly, some of the stuff in Idaho is pretty gnarly, but generally, I don't think you need a Safari 911 to do a lot of gravel driving. Is there stuff down there that I would enjoy, that I could go explore and get off-road and get away from the road on the road 0.5 or something?
Yeah. And, through the magic of GPS now, you'll be able to see all those roads and follow all those roads. We use paper maps, so you don't always get all the answers you're looking for. But the thing that I tell people now, when Instagram tells us what we need to do to go off-road, and you need to have something that basically you're ready to storm Mosul. You've got a full assault vehicle on 37s, triple locked, what have you. The regular local traffic is driving dirt roads all the time in Baja.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a rancher dude in a 1983 Mitsubishi, probably down on one cylinder, a pickup truck, down on one cylinder with 3 people in the front and 7 people in the back on 3 bald tires. So you don't need a triple lock Land Cruiser, on 37s.
I had an experience with my Trooper, and I thought it was 4-wheel drive. So I'm up on this I'm up in this place. I don't know, it's like, what is it, Spider Lake or something like that?
Yeah, it's a local.
It's a local. It's nothing really, but it's a bunch of hills, and you go through some water and over rocks and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put it in 4-wheel drive. Yeah, I'm driving around this whole place 4-wheel drive. Turns out my 4-wheel drive doesn't work. So I did the entire thing driving through water up to the doors.
Park, yeah.
In this off-road park, over rocks, up these steep things, down these steep things. I was in low for sure, but I was in full rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, probably an open diff back there too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So like what you actually think you need and what you actually need are completely different things. There's you look on Instagram, and this is kind of a good topic because it drives me crazy, is you do see all those, like, it's basically apocalypse vehicles, right? Like you're trying to cross Siberia in January in this thing, and Jake is like, yeah, because this is exactly what his stupid, worthless Cayenne looks like. Yeah. And I'm looking at my Trooper, like, when I've got regular sized tires that are pretty nice, and I'm putting the TDI motor in it. This is all this is happening so I can come hang out with you in Baja.
Oh, good.
Essentially.
Good.
So we're gonna do it. It's just It's hard. It's a hard work putting. Nobody's ever done the swap before, so it's taking a lot longer than I suspected. I know last year around this time.
Is diesel available down there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, what I'm saying is like I don't have a rooftop tent. I'll sleep in the back of the truck.
How are you going to be cool then?
That is the question. Am I going to be cool because I'm anti-cool?
No.
Am I anti-cool? There's no light bars. I'll have some IPFs, lights on the front, old school lights on the front. And other than that, it's going to look remarkably stock from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that okay? Does everything?
I think the funny thing is, do you know how slow you'll be going on that trip? Because you'll be stopping at every wrecking yard and saying, "Oh, there's the nicest looking trooper I've ever seen." That's like the only truck that's still down there.
Really?
You can find Pathfinders and troopers everywhere there still.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it'll be dangerous for you.
That's good. Yeah, well, mine's remarkably nice. I mean, we can definitely. I don't even have a roof rack. Mine didn't have the roof rack option. I would like to get.
There you go. You got to get that.
I got to get a roof basket of some sort so I can collect stuff. That's what we did when we were in Idaho in my wagon. Is we kept stopping at all these old dudes' garage. The old guy would be sitting out there like this with a beer. And he'd be sitting out there just drinking beers. And hey, man, you got anything for sale? He's like, as long as you're buying, I sure do. And you go there and you root through all this shit. Oh, man, that sounds like heaven to me.
Hola, amigo.
Hola. I don't even know. I don't know any Spanish. But.
Perfect. I know very little, but I had an experience. People are friendly. And what I was going to say is the approach you need to have is just to go slow and say hello and be open to what comes your way. Driving an old vehicle like that you're probably going to have your windows down. And, I don't have windows. So I was sitting at a stop sign once in this little town called Mulegé, which is, pretty far down, maybe 2/3 of the way down the peninsula. And a guy comes up next to me in traffic and he's gesticulating and he's talking a mile a minute and I'm smiling and waving, "Hey dude, yeah, all right, whatever." And he's waving like, "Follow me, follow me, follow me." And this moment of like, should I do this? What does this guy want? I don't know. I got this big 6'4", 280-pound guy in the seat next to me. So what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
I need to get me one of those.
It's not me.
So anyways, I follow him and 10 plus minutes later, we're driving down this dirt road and it's definitely like, this is where the locals have their chickens run in the front yard and all that stuff. And we get down this dirt road and there's a Land Cruiser just sitting in the guy's front yard. Really pretty in pretty bad shape. The wheels are off and it's just there. But this guy just wanted me to know that it was there.
Sure.
Like he saw like I'm driving this old thing and he knows this culture of we got to help our friends out. And, he just felt like I should know that if I'm ever in Mulegé and I need a part or something, this dude's got this dead Land Cruiser in his yard and I should know about that. And it's that kind of, honestly, it's that kind of place. That's the thing you never hear.
It's what is a dead truck like in Mexico? It can't be rusty.
No,
is it just worn out?
Yeah, Mulegé gets some rain and some flooding, so there is some element of that. Maybe it's been flooded a couple of times, but yeah, no, it's very much like something you might see in Las Vegas or in Yuma or something. Sun baked is what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be dry.
How do you get it back across the border?
If it got south of the border, it can probably get north.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Can you? Well, there's a giant wall now. I guess you can't just 4-wheel drive yourself over a wall. Back when troopers were out, you could probably just drive it. I don't think that's the case.
There's you'll have to interact with our border security officials, and you'll have to have some story.
What is that process like when you're trying to go in and out?
That's one of the worst processes of the whole thing.
Even as like a white guy with no accent, it's still hard.
Yeah. So the thing is, you can get a Sentry Pass, which is a background check, much like Global Entry. Maybe you fly a lot.
Yep.
You can get that. So I went through the process and got that, and it's vehicle specific. So I have a 04 4Runner. I have a 96 4Runner. That was my kid's college car. And then I've got my 71 Land Cruiser. So I have to pick one. Well, the Land Cruiser is what I'm normally in. So that's my vehicle. My adventure buddy, he lost his passport, or his passport expired in COVID and he never got another one. And then he couldn't get one. And I was like, so we've been traveling for the last 3 years in Baja, and he hasn't even had a passport. So, even if I have the expedited Sentry that's going to get me into the faster lane traveling back north, and there could be as fast as 20 minutes to cross or 3.5 to 4 hours. And you don't really know. And it's a crapshoot. My last trip north after the Nora 500 was a 3.5 hour crossing. And that just really, I can't tell you how awful that is in a 71 Land Cruiser. The only thing that can make it more awful is if it's 110 degrees out, which was the summer crossing that I had.
Well, I've had some pretty bad experiences miserable. In Chicago in the summer on the freeway. I remember I was with my buddy. We were in the 911, my white 911, my SC. This is like got to be 12 years ago now. And we were sitting on the, I don't remember, what's the freeway called, the turnpike there? It's got a special name.
You got the Eisenhower, you've got the Ryan, you've got the
Skyway.
Reagan.
I was on the Skyway, the Chicago Skyway. It's got a cool sign, it's got like the neon or whatever. But I was on the Skyway and there was construction and we were in the 911, had no air conditioning, and it was over 100 degrees. And we started after about 15 minutes, we're like, shirts are off. Then the shoes were off. Then the socks were off. Then your shorts are off. I'm sitting here in my underwear, doors open, going 4 miles an hour. Me and my buddy are both just sweating in our underwear. It must have just been a scene. But yeah, it's what else do you do?
Yeah. And so the reverse of that, when it's 115 out and you're crossing in the desert and you're in an open vehicle, inching along in traffic, and you're watching your temperature gauge soar up, and you're turning the heat on to try and cool your engine off. And then you're getting out and going to your cooler and pouring ice cold water over your radiator. Then I actually had to put on coveralls and a hat that I bought from a vendor. And I had one of these like nylon, it's like a ski mask, but it's lightweight, that I was putting into cold water. And it was one of the stupidest things I've done, because it's like, when I got across the border, my truck didn't even want to run, let alone me,
Right. It dangerous at that point.
Yeah, it was too hot.
So that's basically, if there was one thing that you needed to do to prepare your vehicle to do this, is it the cooling system?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not a mechanic, and I know you're a big DIY guy and fix your own stuff up. I bought this Land Cruiser. I sold a La Carrera race car, a little Datsun 1600 race car that I did the La Carrera with a couple times in 2012. And my wife wanted to use the money for a backyard remodel. And so I said, I got to buy a car today. Like, I sold the car. Next day I needed to buy a car. And I got on Craigslist and found this Land Cruiser, and I bought it. It was an old man car. And, basically, before I go, I get the oil changed. I get it basically serviced, pull the plugs, take a look, check out the cooling system. But I drove 10 years in Baja on the same tires that were already 4 years old when I got it. So I had 14-year-old tires up until April of this past year. 14-year-old Goodrich TAs, that were 30 inches. They weren't big monster tires, So again, there's a mechanic in every village. There's a tire guy in every village. There's an auto parts store in every town.
You'll figure it out.
If you can get your vehicle from, we're in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can get your vehicle from Minnesota down to the border, Arizona or San Diego, you're good to go.
Yeah.
If you can go 100 miles, you can do 1,000.
Cooling system's always the Achilles heel, I feel like, in almost anything.
Especially air-cooled cars.
Yeah. I bought that, before, my car didn't always have an oil cooler in the front. And in the summer, I couldn't drive over 70 or it would overheat.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, you need one. I know. Get one for sure.
Especially
but I had when I went out to Idaho and bought that wagon, it's a 300 turbo diesel. It's not a turbo diesel, a touring diesel.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a turbo. So the thing would just struggle in the elevation, right? I mean, it was just absolutely to the floor, going 40 miles an hour, then 30 miles an hour, then 20 miles an hour. And you're just watching the temperature gauge do this. But we finally got high enough that there was snow. So we popped the hood open. I grabbed a shovel. I had a little shovel in case we got stuck in the snow. I packed the entire engine compartment with snow, the whole thing. just all the way to the wheel wells, just pack over the.
I'm sure like
everything.
a thermodynamic engineer would be like, actually, you're insulating it. You want the airflow.
It worked awesome.
Oh, okay.
It worked absolutely awesome. It lasted. It was like a refrigerator all the way up. Coolant was fine. No issues. There was still water pouring out of the bottom of it when I got there. But yeah, so it seems like the cooling system is always
the weak point.
The weak point.
So, Michael, you talked about, there's little towns down there, and I'm picturing, is it like an arid desert? I mean, how desolate is Baja? You have the one road, or maybe two now, and towns every few hundred miles? Like what?
Yeah.
What is it like down there?
Yeah, it is that. It's so you have the Tijuana is underneath San Diego. So people in Tijuana will say San Diego's a suburb of Tijuana.
Okay.
And that's a million or so population place. You drive an hour south on the coast and you get to Ensenada, and that's I don't know, 100,000 maybe. I'm guessing, but after Ensenada, it sort of opens up and gets pretty open pretty quickly. So there's two sides. It's a peninsula. There's two sides. The western coast side is the Pacific Ocean side. The inland sea is the Gulf of California side, or the Sea of Cortez side. And that side is very flat. The water's very calm. It gets very windy, but it gets very hot. So you have two sides of the peninsula, and the construction really goes along the coast to some degree. But again, after Ensenada, you only get into villages until you get into places in the south, several hundred miles later. And I'm glossing past San Quintin, which is a farming town. I'm glossing past a couple places, but the road turns inland and then it gets down to the East Coast. Guerrero Negro is the halfway point. That's a sizable town. It'll have a couple of ATMs and a grocery store. So that's what we're talking about. But let's say a big box store is a definition of, how big the town is. You're not going to have a big box store
right
from Ensenada to La Paz. So that's 800 miles, something like that, on a 1,000-mile peninsula. So you'll have some towns of note that will have a AutoZone or an Auto Parts O'Reilly or whatever, but you won't have a Costco or a big box something. La Paz, which is the capital, it's in the south. It's a town of a couple 100,000. It'll have every car dealer and big box store that you need. And then further south from La Paz, a couple hours, is Cabo San Lucas, which is the big tourist destination, and it will have all that stuff as well. Right. But in between,
refresh your browser. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Jake just has to refresh his browser.
My recording stopped for some reason.
It's okay, but he wasn't talking anyway, so nobody cares.
No, nope. Rarely do they.
You got me.
So is it are the stores and the places in these towns, are they all kind of like sole proprietors, or is there like Mexican chains, or what exactly kind of thing are we talking about?
I think the food is almost all sole proprietor. At least all the taco stands that I'm stopping at. If it's got a big fancy plastic sign, I'm probably not going to stop there. But if it has a little sandwich board outside, or a hand painted sign that says tortillas hecha a mano, with sort of a little hand painted picture of a tortilla, I'm definitely stopping there.
You're in.
So yeah, you have all the chains of, I don't know what the AutoZone or O'Reilly's or something, we're talking about car parts. Yeah. So you'll have those in the medium size, and then you have the gas stations. So forever, until a couple of years ago, it was a monopoly. They had the state-run Pemex gas stations only.
Okay.
And then now they have Chevron, BP, VP. So there's a couple of other competitors, mainly in the big population centers.
Okay, so what does the impact of, and I had no idea how many events were happening. It sounds like there's events all the time. What kind of economical impact do these events have on these local communities? Are they integral? Do they love that they exist and they love that they happen? Or is it something where some of the locals like it, some don't? Or how do these events interact?
I wish I could say with some manner of authority what that relationship is, because the score Baja 1000, which is what the NORA Mexican 1000 became. So NORA ran it from 67 to 72. They had a dispute with the Mexican government. They bowed out in 73. The Mexican government ran it from all accounts, was not run terribly well. And then Mickey Thompson and Sal Fish took it over in 1974. And Sal Fish eventually bought Mickey Thompson out and grew SCORE into what it became, and then sold it in 2012 to Roger Norman, who has it now. These are huge events, multi-million dollar, 1,000 people maybe traveling the peninsula from start to finish, chasing the vehicles that are actually in the race, and tens of thousands of spectators lining every dirt road throughout the peninsula, and people who are camping for days to see Rob McCachran or Robbie Gordon or Larry Rossler or one of these guys rip by for 2 seconds in a 1,000 horsepower trophy truck.
Right.
And they've drank 12 cases of Tecate. They've cut up a whole cow and turned it into tacos, and they've had the party of their life to see, the big dogs rip by for 2 seconds. And it's very hard to sort of make an analogy to the very controlled racing that we have in the United States, like
Right.
Road America, Monterey. Even Monterey Car Week is kind of contained to a single county. It's not like these cars are ripping 1,000 miles through California.
Right. Right.
So it's a cultural phenomenon, but dollar value, I don't know what the economic impact is of Baja racing. I know they had to shut it down for a couple of years. The country survived, so
Sure.
I couldn't say with authority what that is. It's big.
Well,
Hold on just a sec. Jake, where are you? Oh, Jake, there you are. I can let you in now.
Culturally, it's big. And back to you.
Back to you. Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody. That's how it goes. That is how it goes. So we were talking about kind of the economy, and you said that there was, I'm curious about this. There's like millions and millions of dollars. Is it trickling down to the people with the chickens running around in the road, in their yard? Because it concerns me a little bit, right? It concerns me.
Like Reagan economics class now.
I just wonder.
I cannot.
Does it feel like it was?
I cannot throw shade on the folks who listen to me and drive the Baja 1000, but a lot of it, honestly, to answer your question, in my biased opinion, is fill up at Costco before we get across the border. Stay in our hotel, drive our chase vehicles, and like a guy like Larry Rossler will have 100 people volunteering on his team as chase. So are they buying tacos locally? Yes, they are. Are they staying in hotels on their own nickel? Yes, they are. Is there trickle down? Yes, there is. But much of it is fill up 3 Raptors or however many vehicles with as much as you can pile in there from Costco and stop for gas only.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think that part of that is probably because of the notion that I started out the podcast with of, is Mexico dangerous? People don't necessarily want to go out of whatever comfort zone they have, out of whatever fear that they may have, like pre-existing notions of what they think Mexico is like. I kind of go into, America is very easy. There's very, very few places in America where you could really get yourself in trouble, and especially in the daytime. You go into a town, you can usually walk up to anybody, and people are people. Just because they're from a different place across the border doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be less nice. But I think there is a modicum of what's called common sense that you have to bring with you no matter where you go.
Yeah.
That you have to have some sort of set of personal responsibility, that you take care of yourself and use common sense when you're going into unfamiliar places. I guess I would say. Anyway, okay, so Baja.
Yes. I want to know what Slow Baja is. And we know we've established there's all these different races now since 1967 when it all started. There's all these different races, and all these different races have many different classes. And that's as much as I know, and then you came along, right?
Well, they don't have the iconoclast. That's me. That's the idea of trying to make a 71 FJ40 go faster just seemed stupid to me, again, given my budget and all that. And so I had this vision as I was going into a 3,000 mile rally, a 10-day, 3,000 mile dirt drive, that I was doing this on my own time at my own pace. And I just felt like, I don't know if there's anxiety or insecurity or what, but I felt like I needed to make some sort of announcement about my intentions. And I was at this really cool hot rod shop that I know the owner of, and I was hanging out, having a beer, and we're talking about what I was doing. And I said, I really want to get Slow Baja painted on the side of my car as just like a message. And he points to the shop that's next to his, and he said, "Oh, well, DJ's a sign painter in his spare time. He'll paint that for you." And so like my bluff was called. And I just walked through the back of the shop and handed him my soft doors and said, "I want Slow Baja painted on them." I didn't tell him what font or size or anything. I just gave him these doors. I drove back to San Francisco with no doors on my truck, about an hour, south, and then came back up a couple of days later. And I'm like, "Hey, look at me. I've got this big sign on the side of my car now." But
managing expectations, right? That's kind of what it was.
I'm a full freak about hand painted livery. I just love like the 1950s La Carrera cars where everything's hand painted, and racing, up until vinyl graphics was really interesting to me with stuff that was hand painted. And while I didn't want to have something painted on the paint, on my soft doors, why not? I figured I could blow that off with a pressure washer if I hated it. But I just wanted to set my expectations. And then because this was an event with a couple of hundred vehicles, 30 something countries, I just wanted to set the expectations for others. Like, yeah, that guy, he's got 4 cases of tequila with him. He's just going slow. That's all. He's doing his thing. And so then it kind of became a thing. And, soon after that, I started the podcast, and now I just kind of advocate for being where you are when you're there. I mean, so we're so goal oriented, achievement oriented. I've got an itinerary. I got to get here, and then I got to get there, and then I got to do this. And then it's like, hey, slow down, take a deep breath, be where you are when you're there. And I think that really fits my own philosophy, sort of, middle chapter of life. And my old truck certainly likes going slow, certainly loves it on the dirt. And having a vehicle that's that old, and people, the economy is a lot better in Baja than it was when I started going down there in the 80s. So even the locals probably have their windows up, air conditioning on, music on, what have you. So when they see somebody like me, soft top, soft doors, no windows, driving some antique rig that looks like it's something out of the Baja 1000, 1971 or 2, whatever, people want to talk. They want to say hello, and you got to make time for that. So I'm not going to big league. I'm not going to big league those guys. I'm going to share that beer or be open to the invitation that comes with that smile and going slow and driving an old truck.
So Slow Baja has turned into a thing that involves more than just you, right? I mean, we talked last year.
Yeah, I mean it's a one-man band, but yeah, it involves a few of us now. It's a growing, snowballing thing.
So if someone wants to go,
I've roped some other folks in, yeah, for sure.
How big is the rope? Like, if someone wants to come with you, what does that entail? Is there like do I have to fill out an essay and just be like, this is why I'm worthy?
The first opportunities, I lead a class for NORA, which again is the first group that ran the off-road race in 1967, National Off-Road Racing Association. They're the folks who started it. They gave it up, and then 2008, they a couple of the original guys who had put on the first race had passed on, and a nephew and a son of the original founders said, we ought to honor those guys who did this thing. It's been 50 years. Let's honor them. And They put on a race, and it was phenomenal. All these old off-road racers came out of the woodwork with all their old stuff, and they had a great time. I think the organizers lost their shirt on it. So then they had to come back and do it again next year to retire the debt. And then it's been going on now for 10 years. So I got into it 2019. I was driving in the Baja XL Rally out in the middle of nowhere on a dirt road, and a 90s Land Cruiser blew by me. And I had this moment of watching this thing, full suspension, graphics, jerry cans on the back, hammering down this dirt road from behind, passing me, and then hammering on until it was a speck on the horizon. I thought, wow, maybe I need something a little more modern. Maybe I'm really an idiot. What am I doing out here in this truck?
Yeah.
And then this truck turned around and came back, and I thought, well, maybe I'm going to get mugged. What's going to happen here? There's this, but you two vehicles, two Land Cruisers especially meet on a desolate dirt road in the middle of nowhere. It turns out it was the guys, the Mexican side of the NORA, mapping for the NORA 1000. So immediately I'm offering them Fortaleza tequila, which is my sponsor. And it's kind of like middle of the day. And they're like looking at us like, dude, what's with these two old gringos out here offering us tequila shots in the middle of the day? No, thank you. But we traded stickers, and I got in touch with them immediately and said, hey, it's really great to meet you. Hope we can do something in the NORA. And they invited me to come and do this new thing called the Safari class. And Kurt Leduc, Off-Road Hall of Famer, was running it. Great guy. And I was part of a group of four vehicles or five vehicles doing the NORA 500. They just started the 500. And that's a terrific event. It's 2 days, 250 miles each day, northern Baja, but you stay at the same hotel every night. And the hotel's only, I don't know, 100 miles. Ensenada, it's 100 miles south of the border. So the logistics are super easy, especially if you're in Southern California, which again, I'm not. I'm in Northern California, but to just go leave your stuff in a hotel room, do these great dirt drives, come back, take a shower, go to a party, it's a really terrific long weekend. Having had that experience, I guess NORA didn't get a sponsor the next year for the Safari class. And a couple weeks before the event, I checked in and said, hey, I'd love to help you out, do the event. And it's like, hey, it's sponsored by Slow Baja. So I am the sponsor now. So I'm like, well, okay, what do I do? So I led the event, and then that was the 500, to 2021. And so I had some time to get prepared for the NORA 1000, and that's 1,000 miles over 5 days, stay in a different hotel every night, get to the beach in Cabo San Lucas, and there's a huge party, and it's a great time. And I had some time to promote it and work on it and figure out, like, who would I want to get? Who would I want to get to come with me on this event? What celebrity? Chris in his Trooper? Could I get that guy? Could I get that? I'm like, hey, what about that guy who just bought the Parnelli Jones Bronco for $1.8 million? Do you think I can get him to come with me? So, of course, I put an Instagram post up with a picture of his car. It made some news, and I said, and you can bring your vintage Bronco on the Slow Baja Safari class and not trash it.
Right.
Well, like immediately after I make this kind of tongue-in-cheek Instagram post, I get a direct message from his mechanic, who I know from the Copper State Rally and some other events that I've done. I know this guy, and he says, hey, I'm the mechanic for the guy who just bought Big Ole. He would love to do that. And then it's like, okay, I better figure this out.
This is happening.
So then, I'm on the phone with the guys from NORA saying, hey, we got this Bronco coming with us that's worth, just sold for $1.8 million. Do you think you could bring me with you, and I could pre-drive the entire 1,000-mile course and find 1,000 miles that aren't going to put a scratch on this dude's truck? Because I don't want to wreck this guy's truck, because it was going to Quail. It was at, Pebble Beach, and then it's coming with me to Baja. So I
feel like that thing would be worth more money if it had less paint.
Well, I mean,
right?
it did blow up the internet. He crashed. He rolled twice, day 1 and day 5.
Yeah.
Two different drivers. And that thing is really, I'm sure, a handful to drive. I mean, really.
Tell us about that. Anyways. Just briefly. Why? Why is it a handful to drive?
So from what I understand, the rear end technology, spool rear end, which is like a drag racing kind of a rear end, seemed like a good idea at the time. But even one of Parnelli Jones's employees flipped it in a parking lot when he was putting it on display. It's just, from what I understand, and I'm not a mechanic, from what I understand is it's like positive traction all the time. It's got the tires, turning all the time. So a short wheelbase. Like the first day they flipped it, Porsche was driving it. I'm not sure of his first name, Mark Porsche. Anyways, Mr. Porsche was driving. He's a friend of the owner, and he'd come over from Germany. He's that Porsche family, and professional racer. And they were just transitioning from dirt into pavement. I think they were a little bit sideways, and the pavement on the highway, as I said, there are these shoulders where the dirt has eroded away from the edge of the road. And I think they just hit this thing with a 6 or 8 inch lip, between the dirt and the pavement, and just flipped. And that was that. Just flipped pretty quick and violent. So Day 5, I have no idea what happened. It was involved a cow. I never asked. It's not one of those things that like.
You
And
can't
there
blame
are
that on
hazards.
Posy.
No. And there are hazards in driving to Mexico, and wildlife crossing the road or standing in the road at night is a serious part of the hazard. Why every vehicle has light bars and 6 driving lights across the front, looks like it's ready for the Dakar Rally, is because that black cow wants to sit in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. Not the white cow.
Probably
the black
because
cow
the road is holding heat.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
there's something
guessing.
to it, actually.
Yeah.
Was that also the year, Michael, that Myers Manx brought a buggy out there, right?
So Myers Manx, terrific folks who also, Philip, who owns Myers Manx, also owns Big Oli. They really took this Slow Baja Safari class pretty seriously. So they entered a couple of beautiful old buggies. They brought an incredible team of creative folks with them. Some of the folks
that's right,
from your rally, and they helicopter, amazing investment, amazing investment to film their company. But Timothy Martin found some Manx chassis and brought it to the attention of the folks at Manx, and they were kind enough to sponsor him with a body, and he put together a super team of guys, like 6 super creative LA guys, and including Dorian of Alfa Romeo fame.
Yep.
And they drove this thing, and they also got Jim Chamberlain, who maintains the replica of the 1967 Baja 1000 winning vehicle. The race that won the very first Mexican 1000 was driven by Bruce Myers, and there's a perfect replica of that, and it lives in Southern California. And Jim Chamberlain, who's 79 years old, maintains the thing, and he was part of the crew in that original race. And Timothy Martin got 79-year-old Jim Chamberlain into this perfect replica with his son and a bunch of other guys and a bunch of his hip downtown LA guys who probably are having coffee with Magnus most mornings. They got this old dude in this perfect, looks like 1967 Manx, and rolled with me through Baja. And Jim, again, I don't know what it'd be like to be 78 or 79 years old and putting yourself into a dune buggy every day. It makes my Land Cruiser look plush.
Yeah.
But he was strapped in, smile on his face, and every time he saw me, he had his shot glass, his Slow Baja monogram shot glass out, saying, "I got some dust in my mouth, fill me up." We had a little sip, and it was mouthwash for us. We swished it around and spit it out for the record. But we're not actually drinking. We're not actually drinking tequila during the event.
No, certainly not.
Certainly not. Certainly.
As far as Nora knows.
Wait. Okay. Let's say I'm a guy. Okay.
Well, hold on. I have a clarification. So a Myers Manx buggy won the first year of the Baja?
Yeah, in 1967, largely because Malcolm Smith on a motorcycle and J.N. Roberts should have won outright. But in those days, the technology was so bad. Malcolm Smith had memorized a map in a book, and he had given the book to J.N. Roberts and told him to memorize it. And Jan's like, "Hey, I follow the stars. I'll be able to do it. No worry." Well, he got lost. He was running east to west instead of north to south, and he ran east to west out of gas. Got gas at some ranch. Ran back the other way. Got out of gas. Slept for 6 hours or whatever. Now Malcolm had like a 12-hour lead, and JN just drove back and forth across the peninsula all night, and then fell asleep until this Manx buggy comes bumping along, and he said, "Can I follow you guys and get some gas from you?" So he ends up following them to the finish, and I'm sure etiquette didn't allow him to blast past the guy he followed to the finish line.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was early in the earliest year. It was just surviving.
That's a
year
cool story.
two. Yeah, year 2, it's ABC Wild World of Sports. So it's a big deal by 68. And by 69, they're making trophy trucks like that. That Big Oli is basically the very first trophy truck. It's 1969 IndyCar tube frame technology with some fiberglass that looks like a Bronco on it.
Wow.
And, people are going fast and trying to beat not only the terrain, but everybody else. So it blew up pretty quickly.
Yeah, sounds like it.
The only reason I asked that is I like Manx buggies.
Oh my God, what's not to like?
My dad
I like
built
everything
one
about him.
in high school. He was reliving his youth. And so I was, being a high school idiot in a Myers Manx buggy. It's awesome. And Chris has zero desire.
I don't love or not love them. It doesn't really.
Now I want to build a Manx buggy.
I haven't experienced it, so it's tough for me to say that I don't like it. But
they're so light.
Sure.
It's a motorcycle, but you're in four wheels.
I think it sounds fun. So if I'm Overcrest, which I am, we are, and I want to
live with Overcrest.
if we want to go, right? So I'm a guy, and I want to go, and I want to do this safari class with Slow Baja sponsoring the safari class. I want to go to this thing. What do I have to do? What is the process for me or anyone else that wants to come do this? How do I do this? Like, what does this look like? It still seems like ambiguous to me. Like, I want to go. I want to do this. I want to pull up to the starting line. I want to drive this thing, and I want to drive a book and not the stars and make it.
Yeah. So the NORA 1000 is, I say, the aspirational event. The 500 is very good training.
Nope, we're skipping that. I want to go straight to the 1000.
Exactly.
Come on.
Straight to the 1000. I don't want to do the. I don't want to do the little thing. I want to do the thing.
Do the big one. Let's go in.
And that's just like next month, isn't it?
I want to either.
No, it's
I want to either be
April.
in glory, or I want to fail miserably.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do this thing. Be like, oh, I did it. No, I want to do the thing.
Well, the beauty of the NORA, and that's NORA.com, NORRA.com. Again, I'm a volunteer in that group. It's a real race. There are trophy trucks. Mark Post drives a truck that he's been driving for 20 years, where he raced Robbie Gordon in this thing. So there are trophy trucks. There are people in helicopters following the trophy trucks, telling them, hey, watch out over this hill. You've got Slow Baja in the 1971 Land Cruiser. So when you're coming up at 120 miles an hour, and I can see the trophy truck behind, I can see the dust trail, and I can see the helicopter, and then I'm pounding my truck that I should be doing 40 miles an hour on the dirt, and I'm starting to do like 55, 60, and driving this thing for all I'm worth. So the beauty of this thing is NORA has it figured out. It's a stage rally. You're not supposed to be driving at night. Hopefully we're long off the road at night. So you're limiting the danger and you're maximizing the fun because there's a party every night. And you also have time to repair your vehicle. So unlike the Baja 1000, where you get in this thing, you go flat out, as fast as you can for the amount of time it takes you to get the 800 or 1,300 miles or whatever it happens to be that year. They call it the 1000, but the course varies. You only stop for fuel and repairs. NORA, you stop every night. You get to a hotel, you have a shower, and I
hear Slow Baja has dinner. Tequila for you.
Yeah.
Yes, very fine tequila. Thank you.
So can I win the Slow Baja in that class?
You win by being in the Slow Baja class.
So just finishing is winning.
Yeah.
The trophy is.
But what if I come in first? What if I'm the first one?
Yeah.
Do I get a trophy?
You can't be the first one because I'm the first one. So the first
is that a challenge or a fact?
No. I take the green flag. NORA, after Big Ole rolled a couple of times, they did get sort of concerned about how fast people are going and what's actually happening out there. And you do have a Stella tracking device, so somebody, Big Brother, is watching how fast you go.
Yep.
And I don't know how fast Sharif was going in his 911. I'm assuming he was having a lot of fun. It's not supposed to be lead follow, but NORA would love it to be lead follow with people just following slowly behind me.
Right.
I say go have fun, be an adult, and stop if you get concerned. You've got a GPS file that you follow. I have a map sponsor, Benchmark Maps, that everybody gets a beautiful 72-page big format book that has every map in case you lose your GPS or what have you. You've got an ability to figure out where you are and what you're doing. And we're all supposed to have 50-watt radios. So, if we're in direct line of sight within 5 miles-ish.
What if mine's
we can probably talk to each other.
100, as long as the FCC is not listening.
You can be twice as far away and I can still hear you.
Yeah.
Where are you, Chris?
Yeah, I can
Are
stomp on everybody else's. I can stomp on everybody. That was the goal. Is that when I get on my CB, no, I'm talking. It's me.
Yeah.
So this
Eastbound
sounds
and
like a
down.
lot like driving on the Nürburgring, to be honest.
How?
It's like-
listen, you take a rental car. I'm in a Mercedes A-Class,
Okay.
and I'm on the Nürburgring,
Right.
and I'm driving it, and it has 4.6 horsepower, and there are M3 CSLs,
Oh, I see.
911 GT3s.
I get it.
There are flat out almost touring cars driving, and you're sitting there like fuck, and you got your blinker on. You're like, just go, dude, just go. And they're whoa, and you're just like, kind of terrified, right? You're kind of terrified.
It's very similar, except it's one lane, it's dirt, so you're reading terrain constantly, and you're looking for some way to pull off so that M5 rental or M3 rental with some retired Formula One driver can get by you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's really hair raising is you can't just make way. You have to like find a wide spot that doesn't have a 12-inch lip or something. You're constantly checking the terrain ahead of you to find some place that you can pull off without rolling, and you're on dirt and you're driving too fast. And so Nora is trying to figure out ways to separate the lamb from the slaughter. We are the lamb, because my brand is going slow and having
Sure.
and having a trophy truck up your ass is not fun for everybody. And in the last race we had,
I want that so bad.
24. Yeah, we had 24 people in my class, and it wasn't everybody's cup of tea.
Well,
And
that's
I'll be
what I
honest with
love,
that.
because you could just do a tour of the race line.
Yeah,
right?
like
And
off season, you can just go do it.
But I love that you're in it. You're a part of it.
Yeah.
You're experiencing.
That's what excites me too.
So is it timed, staged starts, or how is it that you have a trophy truck that's much faster behind you and passing you?
I'm sad that I'm going to get everybody fired up to have a trophy truck run them over, and then Nora in the next event is going to say, "You guys are on a separate route. We'll never have mixing of trophy trucks and Slow Baja again. There's no way." But yeah, so we take the green flag every morning, 30 seconds apart.
Okay.
And then something 2 hours later or 3 hours later, the trophy trucks start.
Okay.
So they're never supposed to catch us. But when we go to Lynn Cheneth's museum for breakfast, and Johnny Johnson, winner of 100+ off-road races, is there and gives an impromptu talk about his life and what it was like to race with George Plimpton and and be on ABC Wild World of Sports in 1972 or whatever. You stick around and you might have a Bloody Mary.
Well, your tequila sponsor comes out, and
and then you get on the road, and then it's like, holy Toledo. And when I say get on the road, you get on the beach outside of the
trail,
outside of the Cheneth Lodge, and you get on the trail, and it's like, what the hell there's a trophy truck. What the? And you're like, I've lost.
What do these guys think of you? What are these dudes in the trophy trucks?
I'm sure they just hate us, but it's like the real Baja 1000 is open to traffic. So when these guys are on the public road and they're on dirt stages and they're driving past
the Mitsubishi running on one cylinder with 7 people in the back.
Exactly. Bad things can happen.
Yeah.
So in Nora, you never want bad things to happen because it's the happiest race on earth, and it's akin to a vintage car race.
Yeah.
But like stuff happens at Goodwood every year, right? People at Elkhart Lake crash $20 million cars. Stuff happens.
Seen it.
My dear friend who came down from Indiana in his '86 FJ60, he got tapped by a trophy truck. And if there's one guy in my class that I wanted to get tapped by a trophy truck and get a little scuff on his bumper, it's my buddy Todd Ratzlaff.
Please let this happen.
No, exactly. Like other people will be like, "I'm suing you, Slow Baja." And Todd's like, "Dude, you see this? This guy hit me right here.
Right here, the black and red. That's the same color that they have."
That's right. I tried to pull over and he just scuffed me. Yeah. So.
So I
shout out Todd Ratzlaff, the Silver Lady.
2024 maybe.
Why not this year?
Come on down.
So what is okay? So how many of these
wait,
races
hold on.
I'm curious. What's the schedule?
Hold on. So Nora 1000. I want to do this.
That's April. And it finishes on the beach at Cinco de Mayo.
Oh my God.
In San Jose del Cabo.
Can you imagine?
They throw a phenomenal. I mean, it's $100,000+ party. It really isn't a phenomenal event. And then you have however long you can get away from your other life to slowly make your way back up the peninsula. So that's when you can go back to all these places that you just drove by and said, "Oh, I want to camp here. I want to go there. I want to do this."
How many people can be in this class? Do they know? Do they have an amount?
They limited it to 20 on the 1,000, but with the VIP situation with Manx, because they had Big Oli there, because they had entered a couple of vehicles, we also accommodated their media team and other things that had to be in the class with us. You can't really, they didn't want to have their media team meeting up with them or going here or going there. They wanted to have them right there with them.
Yeah. What's the entry fee?
It was $1,967 for the last year, and I think it's going to be
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little more than that on this one.
Okay, so around $2,000. I'm trying to add the math up. $2,000, probably $1,000 for me to get there. So I'm thinking
$1,000 more when you're there for hotels
4 or 5
and
grand.
food and yeah.
Okay, Jake, make Overcrest have 4 or 5 grand.
Okay, done.
We'll figure it out.
Let's do it.
We'll figure it out.
I think we do it in a buggy.
No,
let's do it in a Manx.
No, absolutely
Your
not.
car isn't ready yet. The Trooper is not ready.
Not this April, but
yeah, let's do it this April. Let's get in a buggy. Let's do it.
It's only January 3rd, right?
Come on.
We can do it.
And then we're going to road trip the buggy down from Minnesota in April.
Yes.
Oh, well, maybe.
That's
if you're going to be hot down in Mexico,
washing.
You might as well be cold on the way down.
Just wear some goggles and everything. I'd be down to figure out a way to do it and to make it happen. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I really would like to take the Trooper. It's kind of why I started swapping that engine to begin with, is to do this. And plus I just had the engine and I can't stop myself.
Did you even ask him if diesel was available down there?
Yes,
of course diesel's available. Mexico will be the last place diesel isn't available.
Yeah, I mean, people ask about the ultra low sulfur, what have you. I believe it's available all the way up and down the peninsula. So those Jeeps that are getting recalled left and right, you can put.
You can run the sulfur in a TDI.
Yeah.
Give me the sulfur. Put the sulfur in. I'm fine.
I think you should do it on waste vegetable oil.
There you go.
No
better
Fry oil?
Oh, no chance. That stuff, I've been around diesel stuff for a long time.
Like empanada oil down there.
Absolutely. Churro. You're talking to the churro guy. Hey, buddy, can I get a half gallon for you?
Can you imagine the smell? You'd be hungry the whole time.
It's a whole process. You have to filter it. So you have to
strain it.
Doing that on the fly would just be, that'd be worse than doing it in an EV. That'd be harder than doing it with vegetable. It'd be harder than doing it in a Rivian.
Yes.
I
agree.
Maybe Rivian will give us a truck and we can do it in a Rivian.
What's the range
I have every day?
I don't want to do it in a Rivian.
That's what thoughts I have every day.
Yeah.
Wonder if Rivian would give me a truck.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I wonder if I could just borrow somebody's Nissan Leaf, put some all-terrains on it.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
If you could somehow find a way, like leave a battery pack on the side of the road.
Just like ahead. Year one, we're gonna have the Cessna with the battery packs in it.
Yeah, they just parachute them down.
Yeah.
Michael, this sounds so awesome. This is so cool what you've created and kind of been able to hopefully share with other people.
What about this? Idea.
Oh,
okay,
God.
so Slow Baja, it's 20 people. What if we can get 20 cars? What if we can get, like we talk about that's an actual race, but only 20 people can go. What if we get together like...
Oh, the Overcrest Baja.
Get like 50 people together to go do a tour of it. Like if we do like an Overcrest thing.
Well, Nora would like that better.
Well, I don't think they care either way. If 20 is full, it's full. They don't care. It's full. I don't think this would be aside from Nora.
Well, yeah. So we could organize something during the Baja 1000 if you want to see the real racing fast stuff. Or there's a Overcrest Slow Baja rally where we basically drive great roads, dirt roads, eat tacos, camp here, camp there, group camps, or take over small hotels. That's certainly a possibility. I'm doing my first vintage Slow Baja vintage in September with Speed Deluxe in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it'll be bikes, motorcycles 1979 and older, and trucks 1989 and older.
Ooh, perfect.
Or by sort of the secret handshake, I might let you in if you got something that
Hey,
looks like it's
my truck's an 89
or older.
It's an 89.
Yeah, well, perfect. You're in.
We're all set.
So that's the vintage, and that'll be a shorter duration, 3 nights, 4 days, northern Baja. Great roads. It's the Baja 500 route.
Yep.
Great roads,
But
and
it's not
group
during-
camping and catered. No,
Not during
One,
the
one way you
event.
could, that 1989 thing gets a little hairy. One thing you can do is do pre-93 only.
Why?
Because OBD is kind of like the cutoff of modern. So if you say anything that has an OBD port, which is like 92, 93, just eliminates anything newer than like 91.
Yeah, but someone's just going to unscrew the port and be like, it's a 91.
Come on,
Same
we
model.
Google, you could just Google it. It's a good delineator because, they made Troopers like mine to 1991. So if you had like a 91 Trooper, but it looks exactly the same as an 84, it would just like saying, well, nothing with an OBD port, okay? That's pretty much what it does.
Yeah.
If you have to plug like a fuse into something and like
He's
watch
thought about this.
a blinking light to find out what the check engine light is, that's okay. You can allow that. But
or if it has a check engine light.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it has a check engine light, you can't come.
Yeah, I like that.
I do a drive up, or I used to do a drive when I lived in the San Francisco area, and it was all carbureted vintage vehicles.
I was going to
So
say carburetors only would be another
yeah,
way.
yeah. So that was it was really a great time because it's flat fendered Willys and all sorts
cool.
of just crazy old military stuff and a Unimog and a whatever. And it's first time I ever felt like, wow, my Land Cruiser's kind of plush. Holy Toledo.
yeah.
I didn't want to tell people I had
There's
heated
scale
seats,
to everything. There's scale to everything.
Yeah.
Dude, this conversation's been awesome. It's gotten me excited to work on the
Getting
Trooper again.
inspired?
Yeah. It just takes. I'm stuck up here in winter. I'm ready for adventure. So it's definitely something to think about. I've had a lot of people ask me to do some sort of overcrest overland thing. So
Well, I can't believe you had Nevin Pontius on the show for 2+ hours talking about his life, and he never mentioned driving a Manx across Baja.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you see that guy, with his vintage gold,
He's got
He's a
the
character.
look.
one-piece racing suit and
Yeah.
his goggles. Holy Toledo! Like,
Yeah,
wow.
he is
Where's,
dialed in.
where's Central Casting been hiding that dude?
Mike, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I think we should be in touch. I think it'd be a fun thing to do. We'll see if we can figure something
I'm
out.
all in. Let's figure that out.
All right, man. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
Michael.
We'll talk to you later.
All right, Jake, Chris, it's been a pleasure. Have fun, guys. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in Baja soon.
All right, take care.